Hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in to my latest video. This video is continuing my series on classic Spider-Man games. If you haven't already, be sure to watch my 2 previous videos about the Spider-Man movie games. Today we're looking at Ultimate Spider-Man, which was a very unique and different game compared to previous Spider-Man games. This was not a movie tie-in game, and was instead its own game with an original story, and had a unique comic book style look to it. The unique graphics of the game alone do make it instantly recognizable all these years later, and definitely add a layer of nostalgia. I do like how the game includes many characters from the Marvel universe who are not usually associated with Spider-Man, such as the Human Torch and Wolverine. The game has you switch from playing as Spider-Man and Venom, and is the only game to date where you can play as Venom in an open world. Playing as Venom for me was the most interesting and enjoyable part of the game. You are able to grab and throw enemies, as well as attack them with Venom's tentacles, which I found to be the most effective attack against larger groups of enemies. Throwing vehicles at enemy helicopters, I would say, was my favorite part of playing as Venom. The backbreaker attack, which basically allows you to snap enemies in half, was a good inclusion, and was also one of my favorite attacks to use as Venom. Instead of swinging, Venom can jump very long distances, and is able to use his tentacles to pull himself towards buildings, which is very similar to web zipping as Spider-Man. The Venom suit is constantly losing health and needs to be fed in order for Venom to survive. There is a part in the game where Venom sees a child who is yelling about his balloon. And he uses the child to feed the Venom suit. I found it interesting how they had the child holding a Spider-Man balloon, and how the child was happy he had the balloon. It's almost like something from the Spider-Man 2 game, where you would have to retrieve children's lost balloons and bring them back to them. This highlights just how different and how vicious Venom is, and that he is willing to devour anything in his way to survive. The game borrows many elements from the Spider-Man 2 game, such as numerous race challenges being scattered around the city, along with secret hidden tokens, and random crimes constantly happening around the city. The game does introduce a new feature called combat tours, which involve you having to defeat groups of criminals. In order to progress the story, you are required to complete some of these tasks, and I did find that the game had just the right amount of variety in these tasks to keep me engaged in between story missions. The game does have a fair amount of humor, and Spider-Man can often make funny comments during fights.
Didn't your mother teach you it's not nice to steal? Unless your mother put you up to this.
One particular moment that I did find to be funny was when Rhino revealed his identity, as I didn't expect him to be the way he was.
Trask? Why does that name seem so familiar?
Back away from me, Masked Avenger! My diminutive corpus will not withstand your contumelious defeasance!
Not with the big words again!
Time to abscond this locus!
As Spider-Man, you encounter various villains, such as Shocker and Rhino, as well as having numerous showdowns with Venom.
Staying close to Eddie for too long is not a good idea.
As Venom, you encounter many enemies such as Electro, who is being used by Trask Industries to test Venom's strength and abilities. You also have encounters with Beetle, who is trying to get a sample from the Venom suit, and Silver Sable, who is being paid by Trask Industries to try and capture Eddie Brock and get hold of the Venom suit. The story of the game revolves around an organization called Trask Industries trying to capture Venom. After Eddie Brock is captured, he tells Trask that when Spider-Man is near him, it makes him feel like he's more in control of the Venom suit. Brock mentions the name Parker, which leads Trask to realize that the suit was made with the DNA of Richard Parker, who was Peter Parker's dad.
When he was there, Spider-Man, I felt like the suit was under control. I felt good.
Just being in proximity to Spider-Man? Why would that be?
It happened one other time. Parker.
Parker? Richard Parker? He's dead.
But his son is not.
The suit was built with Richard Parker's DNA, and his son is Spider-Man. Wow. And getting close to him is giving Brock more control over the suit. Get Brock to tell you everything.
Trask had acquired the Venom project from Richard and Eddie Brock Sr., who wanted the Venom suit to be a cure for cancer.
We believe the suit may be the final step. Finally, a cure for cancer. People are dying all over the world. And all I want to do is try to help them. But because I signed the wrong paper for the wrong person, I can't.
They had taken the suit away from Dad, and I was going to take it back.
Trask managed to convince them to sign a contract for them all to work together on the Venom project. By signing the contract, they had given away the rights of the Venom project to Trask Industries, who didn't care about using it as a cure for cancer, but instead wanted to monetize it.
Let's get down to business, shall we, Edward? The Venom suit is worth billions of dollars in government contracts. We wish to test
This suit, it's too much for anyone to control.
Richard, Eddie, and Mary Parker planned to go to court to get back the rights to the Venom project, but Trask sabotaged their plane, which resulted in a crash which killed them.
There were 3 survivors of the crash. They all reported seeing the same thing. One of the witnesses was my mother. She died in the ambulance.
When Trask realizes that Spider-Man makes the Venom suit stronger, he hires the Wild Pack group, led by Silver Sable, to capture him, and manages to get Spider-Man and Venom in the same room. Venom absorbs Peter's DNA from the suit, which gives Venom ultimate control of the suit, and the first thing he wants to do is kill Trask.
Yes, yes.
Eddie? Eddie, what's going on?
I have absolute, total control. Now then, I have a score to settle.
Which way do you figure?
Trask's offices.
Spider-Man gets to Trask first, demanding information about his father's work, which Trask gives him.
My father! Tell me about my father!
everything you could ever want to know about your parents is right here. I've had this ever since I found out.
Spider-Man also defends Trask against Venom, but eventually, after Trask is arrested, Eddie Brock finds him. Brock is disgusted at the fact that Trask was sentenced to only 3 years in a golf course prison and kills him there and then.
Eddie? I can't believe...
You know what I can't believe? I can't believe that after all the things you did, all the things you made me do, that after all of that, all you got was 3 years in a golf course prison.
You can't do anything to me in here! The guards...
They aren't near well armed enough.
Brock was disgusted by all the pain Trask put him through, trying to capture and control
When
him.
the suit consumes you, we will find someone else to test it. One way or the other, Edward, we will get what we are after.
Trask was only motivated by money, and made it clear to Eddie how valuable the Venom suit could be. He didn't care what happened to Eddie, and ultimately couldn't be too surprised by Eddie wanting revenge. With Eddie still on the loose with the Venom suit, it feels there are still some unanswered questions. A sequel was planned to this game, but ultimately cancelled due to developers believing it wouldn't be as successful as a movie tie-in game. It's thought that a sequel would have had a playable Green Goblin character instead of Venom. One thing the game did so well is give you the great contrast of playing as a superhero and then playing as Venom, who literally feeds on people to survive and is pure evil.
I don't even know how I'm still alive. If you could call this alive.
You were able to play as the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie game, but that was in an alternative storyline where Goblin was a hero. Being able to play as a villain was, in my opinion, a groundbreaking feature, and I do appreciate how after completing the game, you're able to switch between playing as Venom and Spider-Man. When playing as Venom after finishing the game, if you start killing people and destroying vehicles, a mini-game begins where a score comes up on the screen. The more mayhem and destruction you cause will result in the score becoming higher, but will also result in law enforcement trying harder to stop you, eventually leading to police helicopters trying to shoot you down. This feature seems to be very influenced by the wanted level system of the Grand Theft Auto games, and is something I found to be very enjoyable. Throwing cars at helicopters to destroy them, and just causing as much chaos as possible, never gets boring in this game, and this has to be one of my favorite minigames in any Spider-Man game. You can actually play in different Spider-Man suits in the game, ranging from the black suit, to the arachno-man suit, to just playing as Peter Parker in normal clothing. These can be unlocked by finding all the collectible items in the game, and completing all races and combat tours. By collecting some hidden tokens, you also unlock artwork in the game, which range from character models to concept art and comic book covers. I feel this was a nice touch for the game developers to have added. When playing as Venom after finishing the game, there are also Venom exclusive race challenges, which are fairly enjoyable and add to the longevity of the game. I think looking back, this game has to be recognized as being a groundbreaking Spider-Man game. It was a breath of fresh air with its unique graphics, and graphically does seem to have aged better than other Spider-Man games released around the same period. A lot of those games, especially the movie tie-in games, do look a little dated by today's standards, but this game's unique look, I feel, still holds up even today. Introducing a playable villain in Venom was a game changer, and the way the game switches the perspective of the story back and forth from Venom to Spider-Man definitely adds an extra level of immersion and enjoyment to the game. Venom being able to snap enemies in half, face plant them to the ground, and just throw them around makes playing as him a truly unique and unmatched experience that I can only get from this game. The inclusion of the GTA-style Venom Rampage mode was almost genius from the developers. I can only imagine the hours that players would have put in just causing as much destruction and mayhem as possible as Venom. I still come back to this minigame from time to time, as there isn't really something similar to it from other Spider-Man titles. I do also like how the game switches from the daytime setting when playing as Spider-Man to mostly evening when playing as Venom. Eventually you get to play as Spider-Man in the evening setting as well, which I did prefer slightly to the daytime setting. I did like how Spider-Man is able to jump, and while he is falling, able to jump again, sending you much higher in the air. I feel that this game has the best double jumping physics out of any Spider-Man game I have played. You are able to climb up your web line in this game, which I found to be useful when you need to gain height and swing at a higher altitude. The game also makes you have to web up most enemies to defeat them, otherwise they'll just keep fighting. I liked the combat system overall, and found it to be more arcade-like, when compared to other Spider-Man games, with this game keeping track of how many combos you get in a row. I did find it funny how the NPCs in the game start cheering when you save them, and they do sometimes randomly start running into walls, which I also found to be humorous.
You're the best!
I would say the sound and music in this game is some of the best I have come across in any Spider-Man game. The music, especially when playing as Venom, is very dramatic and definitely adds to the game's atmosphere. The sound effects of the game, especially during combat, are in my opinion very cinematic and realistic.
Target is on ground floor. Street level. Target is in 4x4.
You have no idea how big a mistake you just made.
I found the voice acting in this game to be just as good as in the movie games.
I know who you are, Peter Parker. I can get at you and anyone else you know. Mary Jane Watson, May Parker.
Leave my family alone.
Get in the damn car.
Crazy silver hottie threatened my family. I should let Eddie eat her. He'd be doing me a favor. But then I'd feel guilty about that too, because clearly I don't have enough things to feel guilty about. So now here I am, trying to save the crazy woman. If my life were any more stupid, it would be on network TV.
One thing you may notice while playing this game is that Peter is less mature compared to how he is portrayed in the movie games. This is because Peter is only 15 years old in this game.
How can you get your butt kicked by a 15-year-old kid?
I like how this game tried to be different by showing us a different Peter Parker compared to other Spider-Man games at the time. The inclusion of various Marvel characters such as Electro, Beetle, and Silver Sable do add to the game's story and lead to some enjoyable boss fights. I feel that this game is slightly underrated and probably overshadowed by the Spider-Man 2 movie tie-in game, which undoubtedly is a great game. But Ultimate Spider-Man, while maybe not being as revolutionary as Spider-Man 2, still has a lot going for it, and is a great game in its own right. At the time, having multiple playable characters was not as common as it is today, and the way the game incorporated both Venom and Spider-Man was very effective in my view. The longer lasting memories you will have of this game are definitely being able to play as Venom, and also the graphic style of the game. If you haven't ever played this game, or haven't played it in a long time, it is definitely a game I would highly recommend, just for the unique experience of playing as Venom alone. I would very much like to see a Spider-Man game in this style again, but I do think that games with more cinematic and lifelike graphics are being prioritized compared to games like this, with its less mainstream, unique comic book style look. Having a playable villain would be something I would like to see in a future Spider-Man game. It's a shame a sequel was never made, but I feel that Ultimate Spider-Man definitely holds its own, and is a game I would definitely recommend even 18 years later. Please like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching, goodbye.